for hypertension, high cholesterol, heart disease, diabetes, and some cancers, but they might also experience social and psychological problems such as discrimination, bullying, low self-esteem, and social isolation. He was speaking at the opening ceremony of a meeting convened by the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization and the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, to discuss the issue of childhood obesity in the Caribbean. The health minister reminded his audience, comprising regional health professionals, that CARPHA had revealed in 2015 that the region was in the midst of a childhood obesity epidemic. According to PAHO, the number of overweight children in the Caribbean has doubled in the last 10 years. And the World Health Organization estimates that of the 42 million overweight children under the age of 5 globally, close to 31 million are from middle and low income countries. Boyce submitted, quote, "As a Caribbean region, we have faltered in our response to the epidemic of childhood obesity, with many countries in the region reporting prevalence rates in excess of 30% in the pre-teen and teenage population." End quote. In Barbados, he said one challenge was that the diet of many Barbadians had deviated from the consumption of locally grown, homemade food to imported foods high in salt, added sugars, and trans fat. He blamed this on the fast-paced lifestyle of modern families, which resulted in less preparation of food at home and more purchasing of unhealthy fast food. According to the Global School Health Survey, 18.5% of Barbadian school children aged 13 to 15 ate fast food 3 or more days a week, and 70% drank carbonated sweet drinks once a day. The minister also expressed concern about, quote, widespread unregulated advertising and marketing, end quote, of unhealthy foods to children. To counter some of this, he said the Ministry of Health was working with partners in information technology to develop effective messaging for the techno-savvy generation, particularly in relation to salt and sugar reduction. Carlton, this story speaks volumes to what is taking place in the region.
Mm-hmm.
How important and how significant do you think that this particular news item is?
Very, very relevant. It's only yesterday, actually, I was at the SMA giving a lecture to 4 farmers on cognitive development and nutrition. And one of the areas that we discussed is the type of foods that we eat and how it can affect our cognitive development. Mm-hmm. And we recognize that many of the children who are obese, they tend to be even slower at school. They tend to be usually get tired much quicker. And so even their receptivity is sometimes hampered. I think this recent survey that was done by CARPHA, I think it's really alarming. I know that the Ministry of Health is currently doing a survey in the schools now, looking at the BMI levels in our students and pupils. And so I think they recognize too that this is becoming serious. Absolutely. I mean, Pearl, you do know that we do quite a bit of screening on island, and even so, we've seen younger people, way less than 20, being tested for high blood pressure and even diabetes. And so that is really, really concerning. As we know, obesity is certainly one of the risk factors for developing the chronic non-communicable diseases. And when we talk about hypertension, we are talking about a cardiovascular disease, which can have dire consequences on us. And if we are talking about our young people within that age group, we're talking about a working force in the next 15 years that may not even be productive.
Right.
You're going to talk about a working force that will have all of those diseases and plaguing it, and we're going to have lower productivity. That in itself is going to affect the economy. And so we need to be all conscious of what's happening, the trend, and make wiser choices, more prudent choices as to what is cooked and prepared in the homes. I know that many times we feel giving our child a particular fast food makes them love us more or puts a smile on their face. But in the long run, what are we saying?
That's right.
And what and can we and will we be able to pay for the medical bills that we might be seeing later
on,
down?
yeah.
Right, with this trend.
You know, with this, one of the things that stood out to me in this news item was that of the 42 million overweight children under the age of 5 globally, close to 31 million are from middle and low income countries. And we're looking at the Caribbean region. We're looking at many areas that are of low income. And also, too, I liked that he made a point to say this is partly blamed on the fast-paced lifestyles of modern families, which resulted in less preparation. And even this morning, you know, I had a discussion with my grandmother, and we were talking about an avocado tree that we had in the back. And it just made me think of how we often, when I was growing up, often ate from the food that we grew.
Yes.
So we had a tree that was pois angol, and then, you know, then we had our avocado, then our cucumbers were right there in the backyard. I mean, we had everything, and I'm thinking, wow, you just don't even find that anymore. My grandmother used to make me go and pick the peas and peel them, and you know, and I just think, you know, where have we gone as a society? We don't do that anymore. When I take her to the supermarket on a Sunday and she sees the amount of cars lined up to go into a particular fast food restaurant, you know what she says? Mun paka treat maje akayo, huh? Like, this is a gross dimash, like big Sunday. People are not cooking food. Like, you would prefer to buy food. There's something wrong with that. Where have we gone? Like, we need to really think about that, because these have implications on our children later on.
You know, this is a real good point, but there's another point as well with this argument, and it says too that if we look at the commercialization aspect of this debate, we'll recognize as well that usually the foods that are cheaper in the supermarkets are usually the unhealthier foods.
Of course.
So you get the white sugar, which is like $1 something, no fat on there. You get the white flour, right? You get the pasta. And if you look at, for example, a family that makes, let's say, $1,200 a month, this is the foods that they would normally buy.
Right.
Because that's what they can afford. And they will still buy the vegetable oil. And they will buy the butter, and they'll buy all these types of foods that are usually not very healthy. So, you know, we also have to bring into the debate the whole aspect of consumer protection, spending power, minimum wage. It's so many other things that will come into the debate. Will come into the debate as to what can people afford. Yes, it's true that it's a good time to really advocate for a backyard gardening and so forth. But even so, there's still the debate about the seeds that are used to plant. Are they organic seeds or are they synthetic seeds that mix the potato or the lettuce look way larger than it used to be when we were in the 80s. And so there's so much, discussion. I think it's a great thing. We might have to do an entire show.
I know. But even for our listeners, if you have an opinion, your thoughts, just call us up. 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, or 616-4257, or on the overseas line 305-432-9624. I think this is a really important discussion because, I mean, we have to look at our human resource capacity as well. Later on, if our children, like you said, are much slower, then what? Then what happens?
Then what?
We really have to think about that. So, in the next news item, this one was pretty interesting. Research scientists led by Dr. Henry Lowe say they have discovered properties in cannabidiol CBD, one of the major bioactive compounds in the cannabis ganja plant that have the potential to provide affordable treatment as nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals for hepatitis C. Information on the new discovery can be found in the latest issue of Pharmacognosy Research, a publication of Pharmacognosy Network worldwide, making it subject to peer review. We report here for the first time in vitro studies to demonstrate the antiviral activity of CBD against HCV. Dr. Lowe and his research team, Jamaican Wayne McLaughlin and Cameroonian Dr. Niger Tuyang, stated in their published study, adding that cannabidiol was shown to have activity against HCV in vitro, but not against hepatitis B virus. And I think this is pretty interesting. The research studies that are being done as far as using the natural herbs. I think it's very important. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, my friend. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes.
Listening to the statement that you read about whoever wrote that article on what's going on in Barbados, I see the same trend happening right there on island in Dominica. Every year when I'm on island, what I see the people, particularly the young people, drinking is a Coca-Cola. I'm like, these people don't have, and there's no one educating them about these things. And this is a time that we are privy to information on the internet. All you do, Google one word, put a word in, and it tells you all the ingredients in that and what it does to your system. And I'm saying our people are not educating themselves. We're supposed to be in a smart, I guess, in the new millennium. We're supposed to be ahead of things. It looks like we're not an island. And I mean, I understand you cannot mention the food institution because you're on Sudi and they sponsor the Sudi. I can understand, but I'm a caller and I'm going to say it. KFC and Pizza Hut, they're killing our people down there. And I always mention, to take over a country, you make the people sick, you put them on alcohol, and you put them on drugs. And this is the trend I see going on island. Because someone have an agenda for the Nature Island, and they're trying to put us out of the way. And the young generation, they're not realizing they're going to be affected later. And the people right now, there's a saying that goes, how you make your bed, that's how you sleep. If we don't take a stand, the adults right now, it's going to affect your children later, because these people and them, this institution, them have billions of dollars, and if they want the island, they're going to take it. We have to protect the beautiful island we have. Like the song said, Pakite yo pon Dominic no, because they know the value of the values that the Nature Island has. Abundance of water, fertile soil. There's no reason why our people should be indulging themselves into this food that's manufactured overseas and coming on island. There's no way we should be indulging ourselves into that. You cannot serve two masters, either you love one or hate the other, and we have to go stay in tune with nature. And as far as the food and the seeds, our plants are being tampered with. The food, GMO, the seeds are not natural anymore. They're messing with that also. That's why they came to Dominic and they told us our Lyme had a disease. That was a lie. Now they gave us GMO plants and they kill our seeded citrus plants. All fruits in nature have a seed. Why our fruits and them don't have a seed? That's unnatural. So our people have to learn and educate themselves. It's going to affect us later on. Thank you. And may the forces be with you all.
Thank you, caller.
You.
Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for holding.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm just listening to the program, and it's a very good program.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I mean, thanks God for Jolly's, enlightening, also,
Appreciate that.
certain things. But you see, the thing I really want to touch on, you see, God is the one who made man, and God gave man a menu, which is the Bible, because in every vehicle they make it
A manual.
a manual. Thank you for correction. It's manual. And if you use the manual according to what the manual say, if you go according to the manual, your vehicle will last you longer. Because if the maker say every 3 months you have to service your vehicle, if you really want your vehicle, you have to service your vehicle every 3 months. And God said that the herbs is for the healing of the nation. If you read the Bible is manual, and if you go to the Bible,
in Genesis explain about the herbs, and the herbs is for the healing of the nation. Because if you look at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when they came to Babylon, you know, they told the king, listen, you know something, we don't really want your food. Just give us water, fresh water and herbs. And after 10 days, you know, you will come and see which one are healthier, you know, who are the healthier set of people. And the 3 Hebrew boys, they were healthier than the king's men. So, you know, you can never go wrong by eating right and utilizing the herbs, use the herbs. You know, so that's the reason, that's what I really want to tell the nation. We have to utilize the herbs, because the God who made, you know, man, and he gave us a manual, which is the Bible. And if we really seek the Bible, you know, the Bible encourage us to eat right, and then we'll remain healthy. So there will be no obesity and stuff like that.
Good point. Good point. Thank you for your contribution.
Okay. Then.
Okay. Pearl, one of the things that I remember reading a book some time ago that spoke about the modernization of cuisine, and what the book was saying is that in many of the third world countries, when we are seen with fast foods, it would basically mean that we've modernized or we've become industrialized, and sometimes our local economies and policymakers sometimes look at those as barometers to measure productivity. There is the argument that, well, these companies provide employment for many people, and the consumer has the choice to choose whether they want to consume this particular food or not, which is a valid argument. But then when you look at the commercialization and how many of these particular entities are advertised, and the type of incentives that they sometimes give, that in itself glorifies the type of food and makes it more appealing that you may want to consume that food.
Right.
I mean, think of you as a child. I mean, I was a child too in school, and so then your mother would really get up and prepare a good, decent breakfast for you, and you go to school and you see something that may not necessarily be healthy, but you leave your recess, as we would call it, behind and gravitate towards that unhealthier food. And that plays in the mind of our young people.
Of course.
So then, you feel, well, this particular food is the brand. It means that I have money. It means that I have prestige and I can afford this. And so therefore you gravitate towards that particular food versus what you would have produced at home.
That's a very good point.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Our guests who are listening public, a blessed and peaceful day, very healthy program. Thank you.
Thank you to you too.
Health conscious people do not patronize, kill foolish customers. Food first to begin. And yes, you can still get pigeon peas certain places. Who that know about health do plant it. And then I would like a little enlightenment, please, because it's carnival time, and then you all were talking about using condoms. Yes. To everything, there's a negative and a positive in it. There are people who are very sensitive and cannot use condoms. What should they do in protection of STD? That's the number one question. And number two, there are a lot of people that don't use condom at all. And then lately, the women's condom have been introduced. But then some people will be of the curiosity, but how do they use that? Is there a belt to strap it around your waist?
I know.
How do you put it? When you insert it, can it be just in intercourse? Can it just go inside? There are curious questions on that. So then we need a little explanation as to the feminine condom, how and what to expect from it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, actually, next week, we will have special guests, and the very topic, the very areas that you've just highlighted, they will be discussed in full next week as we have a special carnival edition.
That's right.
With the relevant
That's right.
authorities.
That's right.
Okay.
On all kinds of behaviors that you see happening around carnival time. So we're going to make sure that we enlighten the public on the do's and don'ts and what they should look out for.
That's it.
So, Carlton, I think the point that you just made, read the psychological issues that take place, especially amongst our young children, when they're looking at, when you said, they leave their recess or they break for something that looks more appealing.
Yes.
But this is the thing, we should never be a people that's moved by what we see. you know, I live my life not being moved by the sparkle of things. We have to do our research. We have to be smart, you know, and I like the saying that you eat to live,
And
not
not live
live
to
to
eat.
eat. And a lot of us are actually living to eat. It's like they want to eat everything and they must have everything, and not even in moderation.
Right.
And so we have to be a people that's conscious. I've always said, and this woman on Facebook actually recently confirmed this for me. I've always said that Dominica is the wellness center of the Caribbean, and we have to educate ourselves and fall in line with that trend. We can't. Our medical systems cannot be like that of the United States or that of the United Kingdom. It's just impossible. But we have something. We do. We have something that they don't have,
Right.
and this is our natural fauna and flora. We have great water. I mean, when I really think about Dominica, I'm telling you, when I lived in New York, Carlton, I would come to Dominica for a month or 2 weeks, or when I'd go back to work, people would say to me, wow, where were you? Like, I want some of what you
Yeah.
just had.
Yeah.
I was in Dominica. I was in the nature island of the Caribbean. And this is what Dominica does. You eat healthily. You drink well. You're in the sun. You get your vitamin K, your vitamin D. I mean, there's so much that we ought to be thankful for. And this is why I said that this morning, that we really have to be thankful for what we have. And I find that a lot of us take for granted what we have because we wake up and we see it every day. We wake up and we just naturally see a mountain of greenery. And then we look to the left and we see the ocean and the sea.
Right.
And then we look to our right and then we have the sulfur water right there. But we actually have to be cognizant of what we're doing and how we're even, you know, destroying our land by some of the things that we do. So we really have to be cognizant.
We have a caller. Good morning,
Good
caller.
morning. Please call back.
Okay.
We're
But
looking
Pearl,
forward
you
to
know,
hearing
it
from
comes back to the argument of education.
That's right.
You have children, I do too. And how do we, you know, teach our children from early o'clock? Well, mom is going to make stewed liver for you today. This is what liver does for you. These are the benefits. This is what, you know, you're going to get from when you eat liver. We're going to put some XYZ in there, some spring beans, whatever it is. You explain to the child the benefit of it. You know, a lot of times foods are prepared and children do not know the benefit. So I think we have to repackage the education aspect of nutrition to our children.
And that's
as
a
well.
very good point because a lot of times, like even my grandmother yesterday, she was saying, you know, when they would come home, they would just eat the food. You know, they didn't ask questions. That's what you got. That's what you had to eat. But now we're dealing with a
Right.
different generation. So you should educate your children. You should say, listen, you need to eat, chicken is protein, or, you know,
Right.
the fish has this in it.
Your omega 3s.
That's right. I mean, you need to have these things in order to be, you know, strong. Like with Liam, I
Right.
have a son, and he likes the idea of being strong. He wants to know that he's
Alpha male.
strong. He's an alpha male, okay, and he is nothing short of his father. All right, but when I explain to him, Lee, these are the things that you have to eat in order for you to be, once I say to be strong,
Yeah.
he will eat that with no problem. So you find
Yeah.
what it is that your son or your daughter likes and you incorporate that. Hi, don't you want to be creative? To be creative, your mind needs to be, you know, it needs to be in a way that can have you thinking properly and not sluggish. So you need to eat more carrots, or you need to eat more beet, or you need to eat, and these are the things that we need to be telling our children.
Excellent.
These are the things that we need to be explaining to them.
Good morning, caller. Thanks for call. Thanks for holding.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Education teachers. How are you all doing?
We are doing
We are
good.
well.
Thank you.
Well, thank God for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This morning I have a concern. I just want to ask a question
Sure.
about peanut butter. Eating peanut butter often. What effect it have on a child or anybody?
Okay, I can answer that. Peanut butter is actually rich in protein. It's rich in sodium, which is salt, and fat. So, for example, if someone is hypertensive, then they should definitely look at the amount of peanut butter that they consume. if someone is already obese because of the fat intake of peanut butter, they want to be cautious as well. And because of the sodium intake, because sodium causes fluid retention, so it's going to cause them to get fatter and would actually have more fluid in their bodies. For children, they normally recommend peanut butter because of the rich source of protein it is, and it really does help them with the repair of tissue and cell and the fortification of the bones as well. But if you are hypertensive, for example, if you have a kidney problem, you really should not be consuming peanut butter per se.
But let me just add something to that. Certain brands of peanut butter, though, do contain a lot of sugar. And I am a lover of peanut butter. I can eat peanut butter on apples. I can eat peanut butter on my fruits because it's a source of protein.
Yes.
But be mindful of those that contain a lot of sugar, and they do contain a lot of sugar.
Yes.
There are certain brands now that are wisening up, and they want to be able to kind of, be able to cater to, people who are health conscious, so that you might see the words natural on it, which means that there's less sugar, less sodium, and more of a peanut butter content.
Right.
So you might need to look out for that. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with eating peanut butter, but everything should be eaten in moderation. I know when I have peanut butter at home, Liam won't stop eating it until it's done, but I ensure that I get the ones that are with less sodium and less sugar.
Good morning, caller. Thanks for calling.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, I'm on the topic of peanut butter.
Yes.
I used to eat peanut butter, but as you just said, people who are hypertensive, shouldn't eat peanut butter. I don't. I've stopped. And but I do eat peanut butter because I get the peanut butter in a particular store in Dominica where the oil settles on top. And that is natural peanut butter. It shows there's no additives, nothing. So what I do, I just mix it with some honey and I put it in the fridge. So when I put it in the fridge, the oil does not settle on top again, So that's the type of peanut butter I can eat. And again, I hear you talking about children and sweets and everything like that. Some years ago, I heard something. I cannot remember whether it was on BBC or CNN, because I'm a news junkie, because I double dick here, so I have to use those mediums there for my information.
Yes.
And they spoke about sweets. When you have a child who is doing good or whatever in school and so on, your child does something good, brings good marks, to give the child something sweet as a reward. There's something psychological going on in them later in life, So I don't know. I maybe you all haven't come across that, but that's something that I heard maybe around a year or 2 years ago. That rewarding children with sweet things has some psychological effect on them when later in life. So I don't know whether you maybe could expound more on that. Good morning.
Well, very recently, I find that to be very interesting. Very recently, I listened to a doctor, an alternative doctor, speaking about sugar. And one of the things she said was, just like marijuana becomes a drug, just like alcohol becomes a drug, just like cocaine becomes a drug once it is abused, the same goes for sugar. And because you find that children and even adults become addicted to it. It's almost like you're having a craving, and if you don't, you have withdrawal symptoms. The same as a cocaine addict, the same as a marijuana addict, the same as an alcohol abuser. So we really have to be mindful of what we give to our children, because they become addicted to it and they always want it. Right. It's almost like and I like to say this, I have a niece who, when she was much younger, she would say things and I would think, wait a minute, where did you get this from? Or when it came to sweets, and I would think to myself, I said to my brother, if you give her a sweet now, she's always going to want it because you've given her the taste. It's almost like when Eve ate the apple. She got a taste of what knowledge of good and evil was. So now it was like, oh, honey, here, take a bite of this. And this is how it continues. Then you want more. Then you want more. Everything is in moderation. But this woman, when she said that sugar becomes a drug, it was an aha moment for me. I was just like, wow. I was so blown away by that because I'd never looked at it from that perspective. It becomes a drug.
I think the other side of this too is that we have to be, cognizant of the fact that many times research are done almost prejudicing a cause. So a company may pay one or two people to do a research to actually give credence to their product. And so sometimes we have to be very careful, with the research that we read on the internet. Sometimes they can really be conflicting. So, I've had people ask, well, 1 minute you will hear how great milk is by one researcher. Another minute you will hear, another researcher promoting another type of milk, like almond milk versus synthetic cow milk.
Right.
So I think the important thing is to really be wise and know what works for you. When you read this, I mean, does that really make sense to you, giving your child a sweet, every time the child does well in an exam? I mean, I wouldn't do that.
But the thing is, everybody knows that, number one, sugar is not good for you anyway, okay? And everything should be done in moderation. Years ago, people used sugar cane, and that was a different
type of sugar.
A different type of sugar. It was a more healthier type of sugar. But when it comes to making money and making the synthetic brands, we have to be conscious.
Good morning, caller. Thanks
Good
for calling.
morning.
Yes, good morning. Great program,
Thank you.
I wanted to touch a little thing on what the sister spoke about we have to give that thanks for what we have. I think we have to take it further. This is that new frontier economically that we need to really push, is that whole health structure of our economy that we haven't pushed. These natural resources are a serious and abundant sense of good health, and by taking it even just nationally, it will cut down our debt, just nationally, because the amount of money that is going out of Dominica in terms of medicine is alarming. It's alarming. And while you guys do support the medicine, I want to congratulate Jollies, because at least I see you guys making an attempt to incorporate local medicines and local vibes into the thing. So I really applaud that, as much as I detest this medicinal structure, but I applaud that, because that is what the world is coming to, and we have this thing in Dominica, and this is the industry that we really need to cultivate, a health industry where people can come here, not just for one night and go back, but start spending weeks in Dominica to get well.
Definitely.
And so we really have to push that, because that is where the world is heading.
Certainly.
Peace and blessings, my brother.
Very, very good. Very good contribution.
And this was my point for saying,
Yes.
what I said earlier. Last year, I had the opportunity to attend a health and wellness symposium. Well, it was a symposium on many different sectors, but I represented the health and wellness sector. And we had several presentations from whether it was tourism, technology. And when it came to the health and wellness sector, I found that there was something really missing. And a lot of times within the CARICOM region, you find that what the focus is on is health. And that day, I kept saying, God, why do you have me here? Why do you have me here? Because I didn't understand why I was the one there. And it dawned on me. For instance, I'll give you an example. The sulfur water, spring water, is a $50 billion business the world over. We have sulfur water here. We have this. And in the end, I ended up having to present my opinion on the report that was presented on health and wellness. And this was the thing that I said. We cannot be like anybody else.
True.
And if you look everywhere in the region, it's everything natural.
I'm telling you.
And what we have to do is marry the two. We have to marry health with wellness. We
Correct.
have to marry regular medicine, westernized medicine, colloquial medicine with alternative.
Right.
We have to marry the two because, okay, so for instance, my niece visited here, and for me, I genuinely wanted to assist her. And she had a few complications, and she told me what her doctor said to her in New York. Okay, so what I did first was I had her run a series of tests here, so we can really pinpoint exactly what she needs to do. And I said, okay, now that we know, we're going to go on an alternative regime. So you're going to eat healthy, you're going to eat only fruits, vegetables every day. You're going to detox, and we're going to reset your body. And then if you find that you need to take these pills after, then you go right ahead. Carlton, can I tell you something? She never had to take any of those pills. But I'm not knocking the pills, because Mr. Jolly is somebody who believed in colloquial medicine.
Yes.
But he would also say, if you came into the pharmacy, he would also say, okay, you know what, perhaps you don't need that. Take this instead, which was natural. And I find that we have to look at both
I agree.
aspects. We have to look at both. Both can assist. Both can assist in a major way. We have people coming in on the cruise ships. We have people coming in who are stayover visitors who may be sick. We shouldn't have them come here and leave still feeling sick. You understand what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
And this caller made a very good point. But we also have to look at our import bill, our food import. We're importing so many things that are not healthy.
I'm telling you.
So then what? I would say, I said to my granny last Sunday, Mom, why can't we find dashin and yam on the shelves in the supermarket? We find all these other things. Why aren't there like bean sprouts and, all these kinds of things? This is what we need.
I mean, you look at Dominica, and you look at the number of citrus variety that we have, and you look at our shelves at the supermarkets, and you see all these brands that come from South America, laden on the shelves, and you ask yourself a question. Are you really having natural juice, or are you having something else? And the average person will forget the market is right across, and not go there to get an actual something, because they feel like it's too much time to squeeze the grapefruit or to.
Okay, another case in point. We have local companies here who produce plantain chips. And I will go into another supermarket and I will see plantain chips from Dominican Republic or wherever. Why? When we have our own local plantain chips, it doesn't matter the cost of it. I would support local. It's our own. It's our own.
Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Lando.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to the lady. I can't recall the name.
Mrs. Butler.
Okay, Mrs. Butler.
Good morning.
You have to admit that eating healthy is very expensive. Right? So you'll find the average working class people cannot afford to eat healthy, so they go to the fast food and get something to eat. Now, so here is where the powers that be coming, and I'm not referring to Dominica only. The governments of the region of the Caribbean should be subsidizing the farmers so that the farmer would be able to sell a head of lettuce cheaper. If it costs less to produce a head of lettuce, he would be able to sell it cheaper, his tomato and whatever. You get the drift. In America, where the large farms are being produced, you'll go to the supermarket and you get 10 heads of lettuce maybe for $2 US. Right? And my other point is, you all mentioned about sugar, and in days gone by, people eat sugar cane and what have you, and it was a different form of sugar, which is more healthy, and I agree. But please educate me. Let us suppose you have sugar produced by sugar cane. What's changed? Because I have been to a sugar factory and see the production of sugar, and I didn't see anything chemically added to it. So what's changed that make it becomes unhealthy? Thank you.
Okay. And that's a good question. Again, you would recognize that the white sugar goes through a bleaching process. The brown sugar is the natural form. What is the concern is the amount of sugar that we consume on a daily basis, the amount of salt that we consume. So the body needs sugar, the body needs salt, they are electrolytes, they are very vital. However, is the amount that we consume on a daily basis. So you find, for example, someone may have corned beef, for example, for breakfast, okay? Then in the lunchtime, they will have smoked herring or codfish. And in the evening, they will decide to have pizza. So you look at the amount of salt that this person would have consumed in one single day, okay? The very same thing for sugar. So you have your carbohydrates in your lunch, your dashing. You may have a pie. Those are carbohydrates. When they metabolize or broken down, they convert to sugar. You will still have an 8 ounces, which is 400 milliliter, okay, of juice, and you would put how many teaspoonfuls of sugar in there, and that's your lunch, right? So that's a lot of sugar. Then you may feel for a snack later on in the afternoon. You decide to have a whole big pack of Shirley biscuits and still a glass of juice again. Nighttime comes, you decide to have something with a lot of so it's the amount of sugar that we consume and the frequency of that practice. I think that is what is causing the major problem for us. Okay? Yes, we have another caller.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, caller.
Good morning, my people.
Good morning to you, dear.
You never see you burn so much, you take so much sugar and you're not burning it. The amount of sugar we take in, we're not burning it. And we have to go back to the old time days. Your parents used to give their children a banana for their recess, a piece of orange for their recess.
The education.
Now we haven't got that. It's give them a chubby, give them a conkers, give them chunks now for their recess. We have to go back to the old days. Because if you take a good look, you just stand up in the school and you just watch what the student has for their recess. It's not nutrition.
Right. Because you
We
still...
have to go back to our old days.
One of the things that I've seen, though, particularly in our diet profile, is that many of our children do not like fish. Many of our children are not eating fish.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they want fried chicken every other day. They want, eating a different
chicken.
and not realizing the benefits of fish. I mean, I was given this lecture at SMA yesterday on cognitive development, and there's almost every essential supplement that is necessary for brain power. Fish is in there. Zinc, iodine, your vitamins D, your vitamins E. You need fish. And your omega-3, you need fish. And so we really advising parents to really ensure that the children have fish at least 2 to 3 times a week. You can make the fish in different forms, that the child would want to eat the fish. And that is very, very important. We recognize in a lot of our children, and it's because of the introduction and the information that is given. How many people give the children a fish for a treat, right? So you would go and you would get a form of chicken instead as a treat. You've done well. Here is the treat. And nobody would really... So then the children now are conditioned to believe that chicken is the ultimate choice, and they would say to you, they don't want fish,
At 4 or maybe younger, Liam came to me and said, "Mommy, where does chicken come from?" And I said to him, "An actual chicken that you've seen running on the road, right?"
Yes.
And he said, "Really?" So I said, "Yeah." He said, "And what about meat?" I said, "Well, depends. Some meats come from cows," but he loves animals.
Right.
So when I told him that meat comes from cows, and he said, "And what about souse?" I said, "Well, that's from the pig. It's a pig. It's a literal pig,
Yes.
right?" "Mommy, I don't want to eat that again." No, I don't want. And there was a period where he refused to eat any animals. So you mean to tell me people kill those for me to eat it? He was so upset. I mean, but he's a very literal kind of guy. Give him the facts and he'll deal with it, okay? The truth and he'll deal with it. And the truth of the matter is, we are killing these animals to eat,
Yes.
right? And he just could not fathom that chicken that he saw running around the other day could have been the chicken that was in his stomach. At that age, I think that that's incredible to even
Yes.
think that way, to kind of put 2 and 2 together and say, and I think that we need to educate our children. So these are what we're eating, and this is the healthier kind. Some of the places who sell chicken in town are importing chicken from different countries. We don't know what's in them, but you find that everywhere you go, this is what we're eating. This is what's prepared. We really have to be conscious.
I mean, if you look at, just a clear example, if you look at your local chicken, your local fowl, as we'd call it, you would recognize they lay at particular times of the year. So you'll find they lay an egg during the summer every day for a couple of weeks. and that's it.
Right.
And if you look at the quality of the egg, is very different from the procured hen that you have under the lights that will lay an egg every how many times a day.
Right. But
If you look at the
even the meat, the quality of the meat, the bone, it's totally different
totally
from
different.
regular chicken.
Totally
and I say
different.
regular chicken.
Right. So you begin to think, and you see, something doesn't seem right. Something doesn't seem right.
We have another caller. Oh, we did. Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning to you again. I call for the but I call in another question about allergy.
Yes.
Yes, I'm a little boy, 5 years old, and that child always have an itching throat and coughing. After that, it follows after a coughing non-stop. And during the afternoon, during the day, he'll be all right. But
Nighttime, the temperature drops. Yeah.
When
He
4
gets sick.
o'clock is another problem, coughing and sneezing and itching. He will take a little sleep in the night. When midnight or whatever, he go back again with the same problem again, and that is really irritating him. And I just don't know what to do, how to do, what to do.
Where is he itching?
The itching in the throat, in the
Oh,
throat.
in the throat.
You'll just I kind of crook. You understand?
Okay.
Non-stop and coughing.
All right. Okay.
Yes. So I want to know
Okay.
what to.
I'm going to give you some advice. Okay. So that's like what we call acute allergic laryngitis. Basically, what we recommend is that you would actually have to see Dr. Pascal, the ENT specialist, for a full assessment on what's happening. And usually, based on what he has seen, he would recommend an antihistamine, something that would actually block the release of histamine, which produces the reaction. And then he would most likely give something that might be anti-inflammatory as well. But it would be based on the assessment. There might be something in the house that what we call allergens that he might be allergic to. So we always recommend trying to avoid rugs in the bedroom. Try to make sure that the room is aerated, windows are open, and you could have fresh air coming in. There might be some plants in the area as well that he might be allergic to because of the pollen that is being there. There are even teddy bears, dust mites as well. Making sure that the linen, the sheets and are washed, maybe sometimes in hot water. So there are many factors that can be causing this. So it would have to be properly assessed and evaluated before we can actually make an assumption. Okay.
Good advice. Okay, we have a last caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you, caller.
Yes, good morning to me again. Listening to you all, it's very uplifting. But it's sad that some individual would not listen to Q95 because of their own reason or ignorance reason, but not realizing information is disseminated all over.
Yes.
I heard you, Sister Pearl, made several comments as far as a lot of things we have overseas wish that they have that. And if overseas have it, they have, but it's not fresh, it's not pure like what we got as far as the soil, the water, the air. And you made another point again. We have to support our local. People go and just because it's come from overseas, they're thinking that it's pure, it's better. No, we got to start supporting and keep supporting our own. And a lady called a while ago and said a family member is the throat is irritating. Something simple like a little salt water, like I would say, like they would say, "Pas gorge glolame." Because what people don't bathe in the sea like before, and it's a natural healing element. It removes mucus from the body. A lot of times when we have throat condition, the itching and dry cough, it's mucus that's crystallized in the body because we're eating a lot of mucus forming food. And this is our problem right now. So a little salt water or natural sea salt, just drink that, it will release the mucus that's crystallized in the body. I don't know, but you all got to keep doing, besides this registration, you all got to go out on island and where people, because they'll figure out, oh, he's not on queue, so I'll come to you all. because they need that information. Because if they don't, their children going to suffer later on. So good day.
Thank
and
you.
I'll be still listening. Thank you.
Take care, my friend.
you.
All the
Thank
best.
you. Well,
So we've come
to the end of our program,
yes,
right?
Yes,
We're
yes,
4
yes.
minutes
I think
past
it was a
11.
great program today, and we really want to
Absolutely.
thank the many, many listeners that listen to Health Vibes on a weekly basis. We wish that we had more time with
That's
you,
right, that's right.
but there is so much more to be done. Again, one of the services that we provide at Jollies is that we provide community health discussions and lectures. And so if you are from a community and you want us to come across to have a discussion, a community health discussion, we are open to that. It's easy to just call if you have a club and you would like our assistance in terms of health education and information. We are also open to that. So feel free to actually call us. And if you're a company that is interested in knowing, ensuring that your staff are healthy and that they are adhering to good health practices, we are open to come and do screenings with your company or your staff. We will offer a great line of services that is second to none, and you would get a quantitative, qualitative, analytical report after the screening is done. We've done so many screenings throughout the island. We're still continuing, so feel free to call Jollies, and we will certainly be of assistance to you. So, Pearl, we are about to leave. Let me say, go out and do something productive. Make yourself useful in a productive way to someone during the course of today.
And love your neighbor as yourself. I think that's very important.
Good one.
All right, take care.
Until next time, bye-bye.
You're listening to Health Vibes. You were listening to Health Vibes, a production of Jollies Pharmacy.